Hello, I'm live. I'm not sure if I'm live or not. Not being the most technical person in the world, let me just investigate this. Ah, it appears we may be live. I don't know. I need a personal assistant who's technical. If this is coming out, it says I'm on air on Restream, and it looks like something's recording, but there's nothing coming through on YouTube. So what's going on? I don't know. Do I have to press go live on there? Ah. Help somebody. I need to go and get some help. I'll be back in a sec, just in case I am on there. I don't think I am, but yes, I'm on air. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened there. I'm not the most technical of people. I don't know who's watching. I can't see. It's really crap. Hopefully, I'll see some messages come through if there's anybody there. I'll just carry on with what I'm going to say. So, I have been a bit obsessed with the VARC system as of late. So, I've made about 7 or 8 videos about this. And what started it all off was a couple of months ago, I went to the Polyglot conference and I was in a chat room there, and somebody said to me, have you done the Myers-Briggs thing? So Myers-Briggs, if you don't know, is a similar model to the VARC, but it's a bit more complicated. It has about 17 or 18 different types of personality. So I went away and did that. And when I came back to the chat room, there were about 8 people there, and 4 of us had the same profile. And I thought that was a bit weird. So it made me think, is there a specific profile for language learners? Is there something, do language learners kind of fit into a category, or are we all different? So with this in mind, I did a VARC questionnaire again. I'd done one years ago because I used to be a trainer in a call center. So I've used the VARC model before in not in training that I've delivered, but in training workshops that I've attended, a couple of workshops. And I've used other models as well, like the Kolb model, which is a similar one. So with all that in mind, I did another VARC test, and I came out as being audio and kinesthetic. And it's kind of surprised me because I don't remember having been kinesthetic before. I knew I was a bit of an audio person. I have all these audio CDs and things here, and I love audio material. So I was a bit confused about the kinesthetic bit, and then it started making sense when I realised that I do a lot of my learning in a kinesthetic way, which is a bit odd, really. So maybe it's a lifestyle thing, because let me explain. I work full time usually, so at the moment I'm on furlough, so I haven't been working, so that's fine. And when I work normally, I don't really have much time to learn languages. So what I tend to do is do a lot of audio listening or watching foreign films in the kitchen while I'm cooking, or actually while I'm practicing juggling. I do my language learning that way. So obviously that's a very kinesthetic thing to do. And in this test, I came out as kinesthetic. So I thought, is that a normal thing for language learners? And then another thing that spurred me on to making these videos is that I was on Twitter a few weeks ago, and I noticed lots of people were giving up on their language learning. And I spotted tweet after tweet after tweet with different people saying that they were going to give up on their language learning. So I thought, well, it is middle of January, so people have maybe given up on their New Year's resolutions. But some of the comments were things like they were giving up because they had no, like they were getting fed up with the language, or they were finding it a struggle. And it made me think, were people actually using the right tools for themselves, for their own learning style? So this is what made me want to produce these videos about the VARC model, to maybe help people if they're struggling with different, trying to use things that are not easy for them to use or not natural for them to use. So my other thing was that, do we change our style as we go through life? So with me having identified myself as a kinesthetic learner recently, and I don't remember having identified that years ago, have I changed my lifestyle? Is it my lifestyle that's actually changed my style of learning? So with that in mind, if you're doing this VARC test, does it mean that it's set in stone, or is it, are we able to change it? So with all that in mind as well, I had a comment on one of my videos from Mikhail, who's one of my subscribers, and I subscribe to his channel as well now. We're both language learners, but he's a science teacher, and he said that there has been research against this VARC model, and that shouldn't we be calling what I've been calling style, language learning style, shouldn't we be calling them preferences? So I had actually read some papers a while ago, and one of them interested me because it was to do with human anatomy technicians, and I used to be an anatomy technician in my first job. So I'd read that a couple of times, and the research tends to have been done in higher education, and I think the research wants to show what the outcomes of language learning style on academic education is. And I think there was no correlation drawn between knowing what a language style was and actually having a different outcome academically. So a lot of that research was done in those kind of contexts, like saying that trying to measure academic achievement. And I think there was some other tests done in schools as well, in lower ages of schools. But I think the general feeling of these research papers was that language learning, or learning styles, I should say, are a waste of time, and that they don't, what's the point in knowing about them? Isn't it just to do with discipline? So to me, it's like a bit of a spectrum. So you've got style at one end, and then you've got preference and then you've maybe got choice, and then you've got discipline at the other end. So are we able to change this spectrum and be able to discipline ourselves enough? So my argument, if you haven't seen the video, I made a video about the VARC model, saying whether it's valid or not, a couple of days in response to this question I had. And I gave a couple of examples. So one of them was that I tried to learn a method that wasn't really suitable for me, and I felt ultimately like I was wasted a bit of time on it because it wasn't matching with my learning style. So with all that in mind, I think you have to keep the idea of models as a tool to look at for self-development or self-awareness, rather than something that can be rolled out to as a system for education. But having said that, teachers used to use these models quite a lot, and more recently, they've kind of stopped using them. But some teachers still believe in these models, because in a way it's an easy thing to believe in, because it's such a quick and easy identifier of the style. So how does all this relate to language learning? Is there anybody here watching? I don't know. I really wish I was more technical. I need a lesson on streaming. I think I'm going to do a lesson before I do any more of these, because I don't know. I can't see any comments coming through. I'm just going to type a comment just to see if it goes through. Yeah, so it looks like maybe there's no one here. I don't know. Where do I look to find out? Can someone tell me if there is anyone there? I'm just going to carry on, because I wanted to do a sort of debate about this anyway. So I'll give you a bit of a background about myself. I used to be a trainer in a call center, so I think I might have said that already. So I've used some of these models, and then later I've been a shop manager and in different management jobs. So we tend to use these models in workshops, like development workshops. When you go to a workshop and you want your staff to maybe perform a bit better or have a bit more awareness about their colleagues. One of the flaws, I think, or one of the dangers of these models is that you can end up pigeonholing yourself or your colleagues. So this actually happened in a place of work where I was. We did a different test, which was the Honey and Mumford test. That's another one. So Honey and Mumford model is about learning about your behavior style at work and in life in general. And again, similar to VARC, there are 4 different personality types. And in those types, you have active and reflective are kind of 2 opposites types. So the active one, as the name suggests, are very active, and they are very impulsive, and they a bit headstrong, and they make decisions quickly, whereas reflectors are very much thinkers, and they need time to digest information, and they may have to sleep on a big decision. So I did this in a group of people. I didn't do it, but I was involved in the learning process, and there were quite a lot of us in the group, and the active people had to go and sit on one table and the reflective on another, and there's 2 other types, which are pragmatists and thinkers, I think. And the active people afterwards were labelled as sort of I can't explain it. They were sort of a bit more assertive than the other people, a bit more outgoing, but they were labelled as not being very intelligent by the rest of the people afterwards. And there was this thing going around, like a sort of character assassination type thing. So I think you have to be a bit careful. And also there's room to change, within these things. Well, there is in the Honey and Mumford one, but I'm not sure if there is in the language learning one. This is what I was going to debate about today. So what else have we got? So language learning is all about reading, writing, listening and speaking. So the four things. And in this VARC model, there are only two types that actually coincide with that particular one, or that fit neatly within the reading, writing, listening, speaking, which are the audio and the reading, writing types. So for my results, I got a high score in audio, so I got about 12 points in that, and I only got about 2 points in reading and writing. And that could make me a bit biased towards thinking that I don't have to read, that reading is no good for me. And it's not true, because language learning is a mixture of those four things. And I think the successful language achiever, language learner, will have a certain element of all of those things together. So it's like a synthesis of, and having a mixed media input enhances. So one actually enhances the other. So it's like the word symbiosis, which is where two organisms live off each other, but they mutually benefit each other. So like reading and listening are both necessary in language learning, unless you're blind or deaf, in which case then you have to focus on one or the other. But obviously we do have a preference, so there is a style. So in terms of language learning, if you come out as, this is what I want to debate about, if you do come out as kinesthetic or visual, how does that have an impact on your language learning, and does it make a difference? So I've studied languages a lot in my life, but I've studied them mainly in the last 10 years. So I'm actually going to be 60 this year. So since I was about 51, or 52 maybe, I started learning languages like in an addictive way. And it's became more and more and more. So I started off not necessarily having to learn something every day, but when I got to about the age of about 55, 54, I was like addicted. and I've dabbled in quite a lot of languages in the last few years. So most of my learning has been done in that kinesthetic style in the last few years, actually. So it makes me wonder if there are other people like this who do similar things, or is it just a lifestyle that I've ended up with not much time on my hands? So, it's like in the kitchen is quick, let's grab a half an hour or an hour while I'm doing some cooking. I do language learning in other ways as well. So I would sit down with an app and do a bit of Duolingo and read a book and take some material from the book and listen to podcasts and all sorts of things. But when I've been particularly busy in my life, I have mainly just done audio inputs and not much else. And I think that's been effective to a certain extent. I think audio is helpful when you're at the beginning of learning a language, because you need to sort of hear how that sounds. Is there actually anybody here? Am I talking to myself? I know this was like this last time, and I know I haven't got many subscribers on my channel, so I don't expect to have much. And maybe this is a funny subject because I've already covered it in all the other videos. I'm not sure. I'm going to go and have a look at another screen on my tablet to see if there's anyone else watching, because I can't really see from here. So I'll be back in a sec. If there are people, entertain yourselves for a minute. No, there's nobody there. So it's a bit of a a daft waste of time. So no problem. Next time I do a live stream, I think I'll look into doing something a bit more on a new thing that I haven't done before, and maybe or maybe like ask you guys, if you do watch this later, what kind of live stream would you like, or do you like live streams in the first place? Are live streams better with a couple of people, actually? Because I watched a live stream last night on Fingtam Languages channel, and that had quite a lot of watches. I mean, obviously he's got like, I don't know how many subscribers, but probably like 30,000 or something, whereas I've only got 800 and something. So no problem at all. I'm not worried. It doesn't deflate me or anything. I didn't expect a huge number of people, but I thought I might have got 3 or 4. So no point in carrying on. So anyway, thanks for not watching. Thanks for supporting my channel. No, really, my numbers have gone up a lot, so I'm quite pleased with the way my channel's going, and I'm getting a few new subscribers, and I'm enjoying making these videos. And one of the things I was going to say was, making videos on YouTube has actually been a kinesthetic learning thing for me. So I think I've been learning more language since I've been making videos, which you'd think that I wouldn't have more time to learn languages. But I think, in a way, some of my videos that I create are a bit spur of the moment, and they're a bit like a project. So a kinesthetic way of kinesthetic people get a lot out of projects, apparently, and having a project to do is quite a good thing to focus a kinesthetic person, because it's like kinesthetic people are very active and need to be doing something. So for me to actually do a project is like me learning something I'm going to be doing, or talking about. Anyway, signing off now, and not embarrassed, but I'll think about what I'll do for a live stream next time a bit more seriously. Take care, stay safe, and I'll go and do something.